Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Lonwabo Nene, who presented 2 weeks ago, and he's going to review what he discussed and then demonstrate some of the things that he has found to be very helpful to him dealing with his FSHD. I did see someone post in the chat that they're an FSHD patient. We also, if you would like to post in your chat where you're joining us from today, we always like to see where people are from. So with that, another few housekeeping things. There is a part of your Zoom, if you're new to Zoom, called reactions, where you can smile, you can, give a thumbs up, applaud. You can also raise your hand if you have a question, and that's a great way to make sure that we get to you if you have any questions along the way. You can also post questions in the chat window and we can cover them later. So many ways to interact. And with that, I will turn it over to Lonwabo. Welcome.
All right. Thank you very much, June. I see in the chat there's peeps from India. Hello. It's quite late over that side. I know that. So we really appreciate you being here so that I can share with you my rehabilitation story. Yes, if I didn't catch it from the previous FSHD session, my name is Lonwabo Nene. I'm in South Africa, born and raised, and I was diagnosed with FSHD around about the ages of 15 once I had the biopsy done. And ever since then, I kept on finding out, researching ways to try and help myself, try and help my body learn more about the actual condition, which was the FSHD, just so I can fight against it. And so I was a very active person growing up, and that diminished for a very large amount of time. However, I decided to get myself back on track, and I was fortunate enough to find a biokineticist, and he has been helping me all these years. And yes, today I'll be showing you guys a lot of the exercises that he actually taught me, a bit of DIY tricks as well. So that will be quite interesting for me to share with you. So just to review, though, 2 weeks ago, the session that we had, I covered a session on face, shoulder girdle, arms, and particularly the nerve flossing, which was a part that I was very excited to actually talk about, because the nerve flossings in themselves, I believe, had a very large part in my rehabilitation process to actually try to stimulate the actual targeted areas that were all of a sudden feeling numb, feeling cold, limited range of motion. And so they started to feel a bit looser, but not in a bad sense, more, I gained a lot more mobility, particularly within the right side, the right shoulder girdle, the bilaterally. So nerve flossing is an important one. However, just to review a bit of the exercises that we did during that time, we did start off with facial massages, something that anybody can do. Maybe they are sitting in car, waiting for the in traffic.
Wait.
Hello. Oh, okay, sorry. Maybe you are sitting in traffic or just at home, you're just woken up. That was when I would really do the facial massages. So just to kick them off, I said I was just going to review a bit, just for a few minutes. We did look at facial massages, and just to massage the face, massage the temples. And I don't know if anybody did have any sorts of questions regarding that part, if anybody did have their questions. Okay, so there were no questions with the facial massages. Just to demonstrate them, I'll do just one rep of them each. I would massage the temple over here. Each time I would get a headache, and then massage the side of my cheek, particularly for also the jaw muscles. And then I would take my knuckles over here just to really target weak facial, I would say the smile line, the smile lines, because even I think for today particularly, I don't know, maybe I think I was a bit tired for today because I didn't get enough sleep. So I was really doing a lot of facial massages so they really came in handy then. And then we moved on to the shoulder girdle, where I stressed a lot about the external rotation. External rotation for, just to clarify external rotation, as human beings, I believe we spend a lot of time in internal rotation, and particularly with FSHD patients, we do have a problem that I noticed as well, that the front delt, or the anterior shoulder here, will start to droop forward. This is all because due to a weak serratus anterior, thoracic nerve, and so everything just kind of is so moving forward, and hence why we start to develop a internally rotated position over there. So with our thumbs down every time we walk, and so I kind of subconsciously, I consciously try to teach myself actively to keep myself in an externally rotated position, which would be to put a good way to kind of mimic it, or to think about it. Put your thumbs up whenever you are seated down, and so something just like this. So you're gonna have to actively think about that. It's not something easy, but it's really can help along in the long run. So this is an external rotation position right here, externally rotated, and it's very good for the rotator cuff as well, which is a problem that we also have, raising overhead elevation over there. And then lastly, as we said, we did also talk about the nerve flossing. I touched on a lot about the ulnar nerve, which is a nerve that you feel sensation with on the fourth finger and the fifth finger, and medial nerve, which you kind of feel sensation within the palm of your hand, I would say the thumb as well, and the index fingers over there. And very few of the exercises over there, which you would kind of really can't show you here. However, I will be moving to my next station over there in a few minutes. But essentially, what I would do, I would try to picture myself as if I had a yoga ball somewhere just right to my side. Try to stretch out my arm, but not necessarily yanking it off over my shoulder, hopefully not. And then just to try and do little minor circles. If you've got a dog, just think about, you're just rubbing the top of their head there. They really love that stuff. And then you should feel tension within the half of the ring finger and the pinky finger over there, and a bunch of exercises as well with the median nerve. And oh yeah, the median nerve. Sorry, I don't know why I skipped over the median nerve. The median nerve as well. The exercise that I had there. Is it doing this? There we go. And sorry about that. There we go. Okay, median nerve. There was an exercise that I showed you that I actually started off with. So a nice little demonstration of it, depending on your mobility as well. Try to put your hand just about parallel to the floor this side. And then when you are stretching your fingers down to the floor, kind of also follow the hand as you go this side and then back again. Let the fingers follow your head. Relieve some tension. Should feel tension this side. When you're going the other way, should feel tension round about the palm area and the thumb. So that's a median nerve flossing right there. Nerve flossing. So any other questions? Maybe perhaps somebody had around nerve flossing and shoulder girdles. All right, that's good. So today I will be jumping into the part 2 of the sessions, where I'll be showing a lot more of the exercises that I'll be doing. I'll be using bands If anybody has got bands or very light, I would say very light dumbbells. However, the dumbbells I will not be using for this session because they do work a lot better when you're kind of lying on your back. And I realize that's a very difficult position. So every position that we'll be doing is either seated on the floor or standing up. And so a nice DIY hack that I would just like to show you that my biokineticist showed me as well. Since I didn't have a back brace, or I would say I think it's called a scapular posture corrector, if I'm not mistaken. So I didn't have that. And he showed me a very neat trick. He took my resistant band. Obviously, the resistant band, depending on your own level of resistance that you wish to have. So he took my resistant band and showed me a nice, neat trick here. Let me just get that off. There we go. Okay, so kind of took the resistance band over here, and we would cross it over and then put it in half. And what we did from here on out, I would kind of wear it like a t-shirt, right? Kind of put it over me. He would do it for me since I had shoulder problems on the right side. And what he did then was to actually put this over my head. So just kind of went like this. And what you start to notice, what you see with that, it's kind of a neat DIY hack just to help to allow me to always keep in mind of my posture, to actually try to keep my chest out and not to slouch or droop. And so this really allowed me to actively keep on thinking about the positioning of my own thoracic extension to keep some good posture going out over there, just to allow me, whenever I'm doing my exercises, I'll be wearing this. So I think I'm going to be wearing it for the first few sessions, for the first few exercises, just so that you can see how it goes. If it's comfortable for anybody who maybe doesn't have any back brace or back posture brace, I do believe perhaps you might want to give this a try. Maybe you talk to your GP and see if it's possible for you, somebody to help you out with that one, because this is what I was doing for a few of the weeks when doing that. So let me just go and sit down in my chair over here. Okay. Yeah, hope everybody will be able to see me. You can still hear me good, right? Okay. Now, anybody, there we go. Yes, that's perfect right there. Perfect. So I've got my second resistance band over here in front of me. And the first exercise I'll be showing you is the band pull-aparts. Now, the band pull-aparts are a very good exercise to help increase the scapular control, the stability that you have as well, just to help to build on that. So I've got my band here, depending on your resistance level. And what you would want to do is to take hold of it in a neutral grip. In a neutral grip, let me just close this down. There we go. Neutral grip, as I mentioned in the first session, remember, neutral grip helps to promote that external rotation. So a good tip, thumbs up, grab a hold of it over there. And then you would, depending on the height that you want to put it up with, I choose just to keep it, actively think about depressing the shoulder blades. So if you could see behind me over there, try to really depress there. And then what I would do, just try to stretch it out as possible in that, stretch it out depending on your level that you want to. Perhaps you can grab a hold of it a bit closer. Closer you go, obviously, and the more you actually double it up, the more resistance is added. So just keep that in mind. The more you pull, the harder the exercise becomes as well. So, and that's what you go. So these are called band pull-aparts. I think we would just do maybe 5 reps of these, perhaps. So just gonna do 5 reps. If you got your band with you, go neutral grip, just to pull. That's 1, and try to keep the scapula depressed as much as you can. This is 2. Okay, keeping that upright position. If you cannot be in, you don't have to be right on the edge. Maybe you can have your back just up against the seat rest and start pulling. That's 3. Control it back again, and then 4 over there, and then 5. So really just want to get that stretch going in the resistance band itself. I hope everybody is good. I hope everybody is can hear me well. So that was the band pull aparts. Any questions, perhaps?
I had a question, just a clarification. When you pull the band, what do you really want to be squeezing? Do you want to be thinking about squeezing the scapula together? So it's not just from the arm, it's really...
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yes, the point that June made is a good point. I really want to be thinking about the scapular retraction, really try to be squeezing it at the back. Kind of think of it as there's a pencil in between the scapula and you're trying to not allow it to fall. So yeah, that is a very good point indeed. So really trying to, it's not just about the arms, but really actively engaging the scapula, because this is what the exercise is really for as well. And a nice modification or variation that I would, my bike instructor showed me, is also the external rotation raise. It's very similar to the band pull aparts. However, this time we will be kind of keeping we will get our forearms in a vertical position this way over here, because I did have problems with a very tight, I would say, I was very tight around this area. And so this really just helped to also, it gets you into the protraction of the scapula, because you will be pushing out a bit with your arms. So that also gets the serratus anterior firing in that regard. And then kind of be pulling in this position, neutral grip, you pull it apart with your forearms still facing vertical and I would say your elbows straight, and then just hold it there and then just slightly raise towards the ceiling as much as the mobility that you have according to mobility, and rest and pull it back down again. So this was a good exercise just to help me also to think about the rotator cuff problems that I would have. I never had any problems with actually overhead elevation, but this really also kind of addressed that little tweaking that I would have in my shoulders, which I still have, but it's not as painful as it was before. So this exercise really just helps to kind of teach me how to actually keep that stability within the actual shoulder blades, but also targeting the rotator cuff. So if we can just go at it again, grab your resistance band, forearms vertical, elbows facing forward, try to not shrug, keep yourself nice and tight, and then remember that tip, scapular retraction, pull apart, 1, and slightly raise, maybe up to eye level, hold there for 3 seconds, down, and rest again. So it's really challenging exercise, very challenging indeed, particularly because you're keeping your arms forward in a way, not really putting them back here, but you're keeping them forward. So we're just going to be 2 more reps, and 1, 2, eye level, keep there for 3 seconds, give it back down again, kind of rest there. You can take as much rest as you want. These reps there isn't a really allocated amount of reps that you need to do. As much as you feel comfortable with, you can call it a day after that. So 1 more rep, and then kind of just raise ourselves And hold there for 3 seconds. Keep on pulling still, keeping yourself nice and tight. Scapular depression. Try to retract it and down. There we go. There we go. Okay. I think I will be taking off the brace now because I wouldn't be wearing it for anything more than 20 minutes, I would say. A scapular brace or a posture corrector is a really good thing to invest in, so you don't have to do the DIYs that you perhaps would have to do. So because the back posture corrector really is more comfortable than a makeshift one. So the next exercise that I would like to show you would also be known as the seated bent over rows. So seated bent over rows, you can either choose to do two things with them. So as we are seated, usually bent over rows, it'll be done. Let me just show you on the side. There we go. So in an upright position as much as you can. Really try, you're going to be bending perhaps at about this much, depending on your own mobility, really bending. And then you can either choose to do two things. Choose to either step on the actual resistance band with your feet, or you can decide to put a heavy object down on your resistance band. So in the handout, I've shown you, I've put my punching bag on the resistance band. It's quite heavy. So depending on what you choose to do, anything, and then it's too bad. I really wish you could see me there. Let me just push it back a bit. There we go. Okay, yeah, that seems about right. Hopefully everybody can see me. Okay, so I'm stepping on the resistance band, bent over, band rows, and you will be bending just slightly and pulling with your arms, but also making sure, again, keep yourself nice and tight. Avoid shrugging and pulling, I would say, at about a 45-degree angle. You really do not want to be flared out with your elbows. At the same time, perhaps being a bit too narrow might be a bit restricting for you. And so just keep yourself nice and loose within the scapular plane over there. And really think about also engaging the scapular retraction and release again. So we're just going to do 4 more reps of these. The lower back is also getting targeted here. So the lumbar support as well. This is why we're doing the bent over band rows. And then pull until you feel a nice contraction in the back, and then rest. You can rest maybe for how many minutes you want, then get back at it.
This really works your core too. You've got to.
Most definitely it does. Most definitely. Really helps with with the core stability as well. So 2 more reps over there, making sure if you cannot apply enough pressure with your feet, just maybe put a heavy object down in between the band so that you can be able to pull without having to worry about the band kind of getting back at you. And 1 there, pull, and just nice control, slowly down, really embracing that contraction and resting. Okay. Guys, are there any questions perhaps during this time before I sit up?
How many reps do you do with those?
Okay, how many reps do I do with these? Again, as I said, until you feel the muscle actually firing or the targeted areas that you want to be worked with. For a lot of the reps that my biokineticist would always suggest around about 5 reps. Okay, so a lot of these exercises, he would say 5 reps until you feel comfortable with it. If you're feeling a bit better with them, you can up it a bit, 6, 7 reps. and then rest for about 2 minutes, depending on if you're ready to go, and just get at it again. Because the cumulative effect that you'll be doing them, you'll be doing one exercise for this today and 2 again, and just like that. Yeah, so I think if I answered your question correctly, okay. I think there was a question here for winged scapular and foot drop. Yeah, I will be covering legs, foot in the last section. So perhaps you'd want to stick around if you can, or you can just catch the recording. Focusing on back right now for the first few minutes, and then going on to chest, and then hip girdle and legs with the last exercises where I'll be addressing the foot drop. However, the winged scapular, if you actually saw a lot of the exercises that we've already done with the back, we are really kind of focusing on depressing the scapula, really kind of keeping it, really pushing it down, and then retracting it as we pull as well. However, a good exercise that I will be showing you about them is the 1-inch punch of the chest. So since the question was asked, let me just go into it. I like to call it the resistance band 1-inch punch, or because Bruce Lee fans out there, whoever have seen the 1-inch punch. So really just want to put the band behind you, and you can do it standing or seated. That's a great way to do it. So put the band behind you, maybe across your mid back. Okay. And what you'll do as well, just to target the serratus anterior, as you know, which is responsible for scapula, to keep it in place as you punch forward, the protraction, also keep it in place for not to move around. The FSHD, we do suffer a lot due a lot of the problems that we have, drooping shoulder, due to a weakened scapula. So this also addresses that winged scapula because of the serratus anterior being weakened as well. So what do you want to do? Put it behind you across the mid back, which will grip, okay? And just want to punch or keep your arm as straight as you possibly can. Punch it forward if you can see me from this angle. There we go. So I'm using my left side, which is the right, there's no winged scapula there. However, when I switch over to my right side, you should see something. So across mid back, neutral grip, punching forward, keeping it right there, really focusing on depressing the scapula, no shrugging, okay? And the last few inches, I would say the last half an inch or to an inch of the punch, we want to also follow through as well, right there, okay? This is where we really get the serratus anterior firing. And the first time I did the exercise, I remember I just felt a burning sensation coming up across my armpit area over here as well. So that was really just a good sign that, okay, something is actually beginning to work. And I got trembles over there the entire night, which is a good thing because it means that finally it's reawakening. So let's just do a few more reps of these, keeping that nice and depressed and stretching out, punch, and then follow through as well. 1, 2, 3, and rest again. Let me just show you the right side without trying to overcompensate with my shrugging. So this is my weaker side. And what starts to happen, keeping the same motion, try to punch, and then following through 1, 2, 3, and just really keep it nice and controlled. Gonna do 2 more reps over here. To really adjust my winged scapula. Then follow through 2, 3. Try to keep your arms straight. And okay. And then 1 more. Targeting the serratus anterior over here. And then kind of control back. So it's that half an inch that you follow through with that really gets to activate the serratus anterior over there. So I covered that question. I was going to cover it within the chest. However, very thankful for you for asking, and I hope you will incorporate that into your exercise regime as well. Now we are going into the seated band rows. So what we did was the bent over band rows, where you were kind of bending over. However, you can also choose to do seated band rows. So seated band rows, you will not be you won't be bending over. However, you can be nice and upright with your chair, and then kind of choose to wrap your resistance band around a heavy object or solid pillar. I do have them in the handout here, where it won't move. It's nice and stable, or attachment if you've got an attachment. And then in the same way, neutral grip, kind of be pulling the resistance band with you, pulling it just towards you, and then also controlling it back. It's a picture I cannot show you now, because I do believe if I move the tripod a lot, it will something is going to happen with it. However, that was the reason why I've got the table over here. I've got a table and it's got some nice solid legs. And so what I would do, I'll just wrap the band around it, and it's nice across the level. So just want to apply it, attach the resistance band right across, I would say, hip level and above. So you don't want to be bending with it, just want to be keeping nice and upright and pulling with it as well. And also just to say, the amount of reps or sets that you do with each exercise really depends onto you, how fatigued you are. If you really feel a firing sensation with it, embrace that, because that actually shows that that area is now being revived again. Take a bit of rest and then go at it again. 5 reps, 3 sets is enough for one day, and you can just carry on as much as you would like to do it. So that was the seated band row. Now we are going on to chest. Yes, this is a very fun one that I would like to show you. This is called a seated push-up. So I've got my desk over here in my gym room. I really would like to mimic a home environment. People always make the joke that the gym is my second home. So I kind of make this one my second home as well. Okay. So when you're seated at your desk or at your office, I struggle a lot with the push-up. I haven't done push-ups in a very long time. The last time I did a push-up was with my friend. We had a challenge for Muscular Dystrophy Day, where with my friend who has hemiplegia. And so he did the hammer swings with his one arm, and I did push-ups, 20 push-ups. And after that 20 push-ups, I really felt like, whew, I was knocking on heaven's door. But it was a good stimulus form for me. So I just do easier variations of the push-up. So what we do now is kind of, if you're seated really up against your desk over there, kind of want to push yourself or just around about half of arm's length. So if this is arm's length, kind of just pull yourself about halfway through. And then what we will do now from this side, put your hands just outside of shoulder width, and then begin to lower yourself ever so slightly to your desk, really also addressing a hip hinge that we're also going to talk about in the next section. And so this is a seated desk push-up, as I like to call it. It's a nice variation of the push-up because it allows you to solely focus on getting that scapular depression and limiting you only to focusing on the upper body, developing a strong core. And the nice part about it as well, when you push back, you can also focus on that protraction as well, and pushing through, using that tip of pushing through to also kind of get that stimulus within the serratus anterior, just for that last rep over there. And so really depending on how far you can go, you don't want to go all the way down, just until you feel comfortable, and then feel the contraction in your chest. And just kind of push back again, stretch it out, and then get back at it again. It's a nice exercise that you can do when you sit at a desk, having lunch, maybe in a Zoom call, Zoom meeting. Maybe you don't want to do it then. Yeah, they'll be wondering, you gym after hours, not during the calls. So, but that's a nice variation that I like to do every now and again when I'm seated at the desk, if I'm not actually incorporating it when at its allocated time. Now, going back into a seated band chest press. Okay, let's go back into our positions here. As I said, please bear with me. I'll be moving around a lot. This is not for one session. All these exercises should not be incorporated in one session, just because of the power of editing. It will make it seem as if, but you can sprinkle them in your program if you want to do them. 2 at a time is very good as well. Okay, so seated chest band press, band chest press. We will be mimicking the barbell chest press, but with the bands this time. In the same manner, you'll be putting the bands behind us. It's up to you if you like to grab both ends of the band, if you've got a band that is the same maker as mine, or because if you grab both ends, remember, if you double it, grab both ends at the same time, more resistance is applied. If you decide to kind of put it in between your thumb over here, it's a lot easier. And so what we're doing, we'll be seated up like this, targeting our chest muscles, pushing through, like to keep again, I'll be repeating these tips. I'll be like a broken record because my biokinetic assist really helped to cement these in my head. Really try to depress your scapula, okay? And helping to push through. Now we're going to the pushing motion and chest press over there. You should feel a nice good squeeze in your chest. Hold that for a few seconds, 2 seconds, 3, and back again. Control the motion back if you could. Okay. Now we're going to do 4 more repetitions of these. Across your mid back and neutral grip and pressing with both hands. 2, 3. Really embracing that protraction as much as you can. And down again. I'm going to do 2 more reps. Okay. Giving yourself nice and upright. And chest press. Getting a nice contraction in your chest. You should be feeling it. And down again. And 1 more rep. It's chest day today. And keeping it there for 2 seconds. And back again. All right. Now, are there perhaps any questions so far?
Do the bands help you keep your elbows in, or do you just, is that something that, I don't have the bands today, so I noticed that my elbow wants to come out, so I'm having to try to concentrate to keep it in. Is that just? Oh,
for sure.
It provides a little more stability. Okay.
I would say my elbows as well, because of the internal rotation that we always have. I struggled also to kind of actively keep myself consciously thinking about, okay, kind of tucking my elbows in whenever I was doing an exercise. So our bodies will naturally tend to go to the most comfortable position that they're always in. And so we kind of have to retrain ourselves to actually actively think whenever we're doing exercise to kind of tuck them in. Eventually, after you kind of employ most of these exercises and keeping yourself into an externally rotated, also addressing that rotated cuff issue, eventually you will start to mention, okay, so that 45-degree angle, or also known as the scapular plane, kind of over here. It's kind of the natural motion that we have. And so going into a T position kind of endorses that internally rotated. So we don't want that. Always try to keep a neutral grip. That's why I prefer to do a lot of exercises with neutral grip, because also whenever you're pulling through, it also just promotes that internal rotation, keeping your elbows nice and tucked relatively around about 45-degree angle. Okay. I hope I answered correctly. Or did you get the answer?
Yes.
All right. All right, that's good, that's good. Now we're going into a seated band chest fly. I did mention in the beginning that these exercises can be done seated, particularly the chest ones. You can also use perhaps very light dumbbells. However, I will not be demonstrating the laying on your back ones, because I do realize that you need to have a trained professional there to help you get into those down the positions, just to help get you safely into that stance. And so the laying down can also be done if you are using light dumbbells or even with your bands, so because the strength curve, I do believe, is a lot different, whereas now we kind of gravity is pushing us down, and so we have to fight to get that contraction, whereas when we're laying down, kind of pushing against gravity, and better chest contraction tension is really felt there. However, seated is just as good. So in an upright position, seated chest fly. So flies have a motion that we kind of really want to, these are called chest flies. Okay. Where we'll be doing, I would say, an abduction and an adduction of the arms as well. And so behind in your mid back, same stance, neutral grip, and kind of want to start in whatever position you start. Again, as I said, depending on your mobility, how far you can get your hands out to your sides or parallel to you, and then pushing with your arms forward a bit to get that stretch, depress your shoulder blades, and pulling them together like that, getting the nice chest, squeeze, and then release and rest. Then we're kind of going to do that again. Make sure the band is seated nice against your back over there. And squeeze them. You do want to maintain a slight bend at your arms. However, a very important element, push through with your arms forward to the opposing wall. Get that squeeze in the chest. So forming it again. And rest. You will be feeling, I would say, tension or a firing of the anterior delt or the front shoulder here. It's completely normal for pressing exercises, which is one of the reasons why whenever I do chest exercises, I kind of also do antagonist training. So for every chest exercise, I do 3 back exercises. So with the band as well. Hence why I've got a lot more band exercises, just to help balance that out, because the back is the one we really want to focus on. However, we can never neglect our chest as well. So chest fly, starting off, kind of pulling towards you, putting your arms together, maintaining a nice stable core, and one more rest, one more rep, a slight bend in the arms, get that nice squeeze at the top, and hold a few seconds, and external rotation just a bit, and rest right there. Okay, that seems very good. Now we'll be moving on to the hip girdle and the legs. So the posterior chain was one that my biking assist really helped to address, because I was having a lot of troubles with actually walking upright. I've got a lot of compensation patterns even to this day that I really try to address and use his exercises just to help to get me mobile and not walking on my tippy toes, I would say. And so the lower back, so the lower back particularly is one that we also want to focus on, and the glutes. However, in the coming exercises, we will be addressing those as well. So a seated hip hinge. Again, imagine you are seated in front of your table here. I'm not going to move my tripod for this one. So imagine you're seated in front of a table and you kind of just want to almost be able to kiss your table. Yeah. The same hip hinge that we were doing perhaps with the desk push-up. However, now try to not use your hands as support. So kind of just want to hinge and as far as you can possibly go. Don't go too low, as the disc will kind of also help you gauge your own hip mobility over there. So this is just a nice hip hinge exercise that we can do. In a way, if you do have maybe a bar or a barbell, if it does seem a bit too easy, it will be almost like a good morning, a seated a good morning, where you'll also get a nice stretch, perhaps in your hamstrings as well. It's very normal. If you kind of sit at the edge of your seat, you will be getting that stretch in the hamstrings that you'll feel it if you're in upright position. So we are trying to really address any, I would say, any slouching that we may have, or any lower back weaknesses as well. So one more rep of that. Imagine there's a desk in front of you, trying to kiss the desk or get your food without using a knife and fork, and kind of get back up again and rest. Okay, I hope that was good. Now, another great exercise I like to show people is the single leg abductor raise. This is a very fun one that I'm also quite proud of. It really helped a lot. Okay, there we go. Everybody can see there. Yeah. Yes, perfect. Okay, perfect. Now, the single raise. So our abductors, so what we kind of worked on when we're seated doing the hip hinge were the hip flexors, which are the front of the hips. Now we'll be working the sides, an area that is neglected, I believe, a lot in the gym. I see a lot of fellows working the quads or the hips and just kind of focusing on the hip flexors. However, since I had problems with the lateral sides throughout my body, I kind of realized, okay, wait, I need to work on something that kind of targets the sides of myself from the obliques down to the hip abductors, and also kind of targeting there's I would say a ligament here, which is known as LCL, the lateral collateral ligament. And I did have problems. It would kind of cramp up, almost feel as if my knee was going to pop, but of course it never did. So after doing such exercises, incorporating them into my training programs, it also strengthened, I would say, the ligaments in my knee as well. So what I want to do, kind of use the table as a support. Perhaps you are taller than me, and so you can always use perhaps just the side of the wall, kind of get yourself into, support yourself against the wall. So grab onto the table with your other hand, and what you want to do, just raise your leg slightly to your sides, and immediately you're going to feel, first of all, the side hip firing, number one, and two, right across with the leg, the thigh, the side thigh, all those nice gnarly muscles there. And push it back down again. So you kind of really want to lead with your heel You don't want to lead with your foot. So lead with your heel, keeping your, I would say, your toes facing forward and back again. And also you want to avoid with your supporting hand, not to, I would say, not to kind of lean into it, but just use it as a support, keeping yourself nice and straight and raising your egg to the side as high as you possibly can, and then back down again. But you'll find week after week, doing such repetitions, you'll be able to go perhaps higher and higher and do more and more repetitions. When I started out doing this exercise, I did it standing. However, and it is more of a high rep exercise. So I'll do around about 12 reps. And now I can do them seated, which use the same methodology, and kind of lead with the heel and try to avoid twisting your foot this side, because it does become then a quad exercise. Okay. Any questions in that regard? Okay. Now we are going into the seated hamstring curl, doing the last of the 2 exercises here. I'd like to show you. So seated towel hamstring curl. I've got my towel here. I am also wearing socks. So if you've got a nice slippery surface, maybe you've got tile or you've got wood as we got here, take a towel and just put the towel, hopefully, there we go. Okay. You won't be able to see my face. Put the towel just underneath your feet here. Keep on the edge of your seat. You can hold onto the back of your, you can hold onto your seat, a nice stable chair. And what you want to do, we'll be targeting the hamstrings now. So place pressure on the towel with your heels, kind of just pull towards you. Okay, pull towards you. If you're wearing socks, you can just use socks, it's fine. You should feel a nice tight squeeze in the hamstring as you pull towards you, and as you let it back out again. Okay, also let it just stretch out, let the hamstring stretch out over there in a nice eccentric motion there, and you should feel slight tension in your quads as well. So kind of getting a bit of 2-in-1. However, we do want to be targeting the hamstrings solely for this exercise. So this exercise can be done. It is better. It's just one of the exercises which is better done if you can on your back. And so we kind of just use the same motion here. When if you're on your back, put the towel just under your feet, making sure you apply pressure with the heels and pull the towel with your heels, getting a nice squeeze in your hamstrings, targeting also the glutes as well. So just going to be 2 more reps over there. That's 1. And 2. Nice, slow, controlled reps over there. Okay. And now we'll be going into ankle and foot mobility. There was a question, I believe, from FSHD India, or somebody from India wanting to know about hip drop, foot drop problems that you may have. Foot drop is something that I still struggle with. The right side of my foot, in fact, I do believe I'm a size smaller on that side, which is quite common for patients with muscular dystrophy. So I've got a flat foot on my right side. So just to also address those ankle and foot mobilities, just to strengthen all those tiny tendons and ligaments in the heel, foot and ankle. First want to start out with our feet kind of facing drooped forward. You can always, and then kind of be side to side over here, and then most definitely pushing it up. Should be feeling it in the shin area there. Keeping yourself, you can do it either planted down, which is just fine. When you point your feet, you will get a nice squeeze of the calves there. And just want to do all the exercises, all the angles that you can get. This is known as just increasing that ankle and foot mobility that you can. For my left side, I'll do it in the air. But you just try it out. I like it for the laterals, from the lateral side, because it does address the weakness that you may be feeling on the sides of your body. This up. This one is for the air. Down. Up again. Just 2 more reps. So there. Up and down. Side to side. Up and down. And then in the air. Up, down, side to side, up, down, side to side. And that was ankle and foot mobility. And I do have a handout. It's got the exercises written in them. Also just keep it in mind, if you can do certain exercises on the floor or on the ground, or maybe on your back, do so. However, do so please with also perhaps somebody who is just there to help to get you on the ground, assist you with getting into the right positions. And also, the DIY trick with the DIY resistance band back brace or posture corrector. Okay, how do you access the handouts? Yes, I will give them to June. Is that correct? And then
Yes. I will post them on the website. We'll put a blog post about all of this. So keep an eye out.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very, very much. So that's how you access the handouts. Got the exercises in there, and I do also have my email in them. Perhaps got any questions you would like to know, and yeah, I really hope these help you out as much as they help me. Again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more people can do. I'm sure these are exercises that have worked for me particularly with my own issues, and so many other great people out there who are showing their own exercises right on the FSHD Feeling Fit blog. It's great as well. You can incorporate some of the breathing techniques as well over there that Frank has whenever you're doing such exercises, trying to keep yourself nice and upright. It's all great. And so thank you very much, everybody, for joining me for my Feeling Fit session. And you will be accessing the handouts via June.
Thank you so much, Lonwabo. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we will be back the second Tuesday in March with Ulrika, who is a physiotherapist from the Midlands Muscular Dystrophy Center. So that'll be another different kind of presentation from a physiotherapist who sees dozens and dozens of people with FSHD. So someone with incredible experience. We're looking forward to that. And we will be posting today's video and the one from 2 weeks ago in a blog post soon as I can get to it. So thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.